What is the most critical part that lures people in regarding Epstein? Why is this story so important to people? True story. I mean, true question. What is it about Epstein? What is it about Epstein? Tell me. What is it about Epstein that everybody is just so focused on? Tell me what it is. Don't tell me what you think it should be. Don't worry about excluding yourself. Nobody's talking about you. For God's sakes, no. Nobody's concerned about you, please. My question is, why do you think this is? Well, let me tell you something about this, in case you've just tuned in. I'm going to give you the, dare I say, the psychological overview of this. But before I begin, I want to remind you, dear friends, that time is whittling down. I want you to join us at this is important, at the cutting room on July the 19th. I've got a link right there. I've got a link for you. A link later. I've got a link for you. Please join us, dear friends. Please be a part of this now. Join us now as we are preparing for this. I would be so honored by your presence and the like. And I ask you to join us, dear friends. July the 19th here in New York City. It's going to be, New York is bigger, badder, safer. I go in every night to the studio about midnight. And you can't believe Times Square. If I showed you Times Square, you wouldn't know what time it was. It's midnight. Tourism is back. People are back. It's the most wonderful thing you've ever seen in your life. So please, make it a point. I'd love to see you there. Bring your camera and your pictures and your whatever. Nobody asks for autographs anymore, which is good because I can't write anymore. So thank you for that. But let me explain to you what I do. In case if there's anybody, by the way, is there anybody here who is brand new? Any brand new people? Anybody brand new? Which is so important. Because I want you I want to welcome you and to bring you into what we have here and to have you understand what I'm doing. I do two things. One, Dwayne M. Thank you, Dwayne. I hope some of you are also bring carryovers from our evening show or our morning show, our overnight show on WABC every night, weeknights, 1 to 5 a.m. That is just a trip. A trip like you can't believe. And what do you think this is? What do you think is the most important thing about this story? Let me tell you what I do. First, I do two things. Number one, I have I do news and commentary and that sort of thing. But I also try to cement my audience. And I try to make sure that my audience knows what's going on. I intend to give my audience that which they want. This is not the same audience as a CNN group. It's not the same audience as an MSDNC group. And you might say, well, of course not. It's not because of the subject matter. It's your expectations. Let me tell you about my group. My group loves more than anything else the idea of who they are. First, they love intrigue. They love intrigue. They love thinking and believing that they have an insight into the world that nobody else has, especially when it comes to intel. We brought you deep state, police state, intel state, shadow government, ruling class behind. First and foremost, we love psyops, manufactured consent and dissent, any kind of manipulated means by which we, by which we exaggerate connectivity and the like. We love this. We love psychological operations. We love, the constructed opposition. We love Operation CIA. We love to say things like Mockingbird and Paperclip, and I like Operation Ajax from our days of the Iran. We love the notion of the CIA to an extent. I think most of us are tired of JFK, but there's certain things. 9/11. Oh my gosh. Just love this stuff. We love also low-hanging fruit things. Let me tell you this much. Number one, race. Race is the number one topic among my audience. Number one, especially when you can show that somebody was treated unfairly, when there was some double standard, when you can say the N-word, but I can't. He was fired because of this. He's black. Race is the bread and butter, specifically the inequality, the inequity involved in race. Number one, hands down. That's it. Sex, not the way people are. That's a big one, but not the way people are. Sex imposters. There are people who came alive. The first way you can look at Michelle Obama, and we love more than anything between arousal and we love to hate. What I mean hate, we love to focus our disgust. Michelle Obama was the greatest example of this anybody's ever seen. Why? Because people found her to be physically and personally hideous. Hideous. When I say we, it's not you, but I mean, I'm speaking generically. We focus on her because we hated the way she was, her size, her mouth, her this, her politics, her haughtiness. We just, oh my God. And a little bit of sexism to an extent, but race. And then somebody said, she's not a woman. She's not Michelle. She's Big Mike. And when people come, when we need the slightest validation of something, anything will do. For example, we will believe in Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers made an off-the-cuff statement one time about being a man, and people leapt on it like you can't believe. They leapt on it like you cannot believe. They leapt on the notion of this like nobody has ever seen before. It was the most important and critical thing I've ever seen in my life. They came out of nowhere. And they still do. They love it more than you can imagine. They love it more than anything you can imagine. Ryan joins us. Ryan says, I'm perplexed at people's obsession with Epstein. If there is a passenger list, what do any of us expect to learn beyond that? A lot of powerhouses had varying degrees of association with him. Ryan, you, my friend, actually understand it. You actually understand it more than anything else. You get it. This is something which is critical. I can't say enough to people, and I can't put this into words enough, how you've got to understand what it is that people are finding so fascinating about this. Is it truly passenger manifest? Is it truly that? I keep asking people all the time, do you really think, do you honestly think that there is a client list that somewhere Jeffrey Epstein has a book that says Bill Gates came, he wanted 4 women, as an example. He wanted 4 underage girls, and I gave it to him. Do you think so? Johnny Mazzaspaz says, I'm just curious, Lionel. Since I can't sleep anymore between 1 and 5, Why do you have a chance to sleep? Also, Levitt not wearing her cross. Let me explain to you something, my friends. This is a very interesting point. Why do you think it is critical? Why do you think it is critical that Caroline Levitt does not wear her cross? This is something which is the most important. Why do you think that is? Is that a big deal or not? Does it matter or not? You are so good. See what happened just now? This is who we are. We love symbology. We love the semiotics. We love the fact that they wear red. We love the fact that people in Hollywood make this sign and this sign and this sign and that sign. We love this story. We love Satanism, sex, racism. We are always into, and here's the bottom line, we love to tell the rest of the masses, we know more than you. We are wiser. You may be more, how do I say this? University smarter, which we reject altogether. But we're smarter than you. Let me just think about that. Jeffrey Epstein came to us because, first of all, it's not that he was rich. Nobody cares about him. Not because he's Jewish. Not because, believe me, the Jewish Israeli part has little to do with it. That's not it. We love the idea of the Mossad because we love this thing called intel. We love it. There's something, I'm telling you. We love symbology. There was a time then. Let me give you an example. There's a picture on the internet, and you can see it on my X channel, if you will, or of a little fold, a little, I don't know what it is, a little fold in the armpit, in the axilla of Kim Kardashian. Now you're going to say, because you love to say, oh, Kim Kardashian is don't care. What's the difference between Kim Kardashian and Epstein? Nothing. It's just your form of gossip, which is kind of what this is. And people love this, our group, because they go, what does that mean? That's a symbol. Why? Because we love to know more than other people. Whenever there's any kind of rain, we love to say things like HARP, DARPA. We love it. It's who we are. You got to understand this. So here comes Epstein. Now, there is a story. There's something called How Do We Know What We Know? And this morning I tried to create this. This is tough on radio, but I did my best. There is something that is going around since 1980, whatever. It is a story involving, believe it or not, Richard Gere. And the reason why it's important is there is a story that involves Richard Gere, theoretically, and a gerbil. Now, when I tell you this, people will say to you, ha 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 ha, and there'll be a little joke, a little joke. And I ask somebody, did you research where this is from? No. I am a research fanatic. Where did this come from? Where did this story come from? Where did this story come from? There are people today that when you say Richard Gere, it started in 1980, I forget what it was. The story was involving a gay man and a mouse. This was the original, this is the iteration of the story. How it changed, I have no idea. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Knowledge and information changes sometimes it changes by distortion and the like. Do you know what the word meme is? The word meme is Richard Dawkins. It means a mimetic. A mimetic is it's a quantum I bet you most people never looked this up, have no interest in what meme. Where did meme come from? Not heme, which is this chemical, it's not a chemical, the substance used sometimes in plant-based products. In any event, the meme is important because it's a quantum, it's a piece of information that is passed on almost like genetically, if you will. And it can kind of distort over time, but it keeps building up its own sort of momentum, and people will shape it. There was another story which is also critical. The other story that folklorists like myself love to follow is a story involving, and I won't get too much into it, involving, I believe it was Rod Stewart and a trip to the emergency room. Again, always emergency rooms. They love this. This was supposedly formed from some disgruntled, I guess you'd call it, I don't know what the word is, some disgruntled publicist or something. And the story is crazy. When I was a kid in the 60s, I heard that Jim Nabors, Gomer Pyle, married Rock Hudson. And I remember as a kid saying, but he's a man. And I didn't know who was gay or who was. When I was a kid, believe it or not, we were far more innocent, but we knew there were gay people, but we didn't know. Okay. That story took on legs. A friend of mine, one of my best friends in the world, is a guy who we are almost exactly the same age. He was raised in the South Bronx. I was raised in Florida. No internet. He heard the same thing. We didn't read it anywhere. It wasn't written. Nobody knew where information came from. They said, believe it or not, it came from, they thought that traders, that New York, this is true, stock traders who got up early would be on the phone and they would tell other people. Maybe that's it. But information has changed and absorbed. There are stories, if you sat down and said, tell me the story about Epstein. People will say, this one guy today on WABC said, anybody who involves himself with 12 and 13-year-old girls. And I said, there's no evidence of that. And he stopped. He said, what do you mean? I said, there's no evidence of that. Well, yeah, there is. No, there's not. This is a story that you came up with in your own circle. This is a story that you came up with among your own friends. This is a story that you like. And when you meet with people who believe in what you're saying, when you meet with people who are themselves in agreement, they will repeat what you say. The Virginia Giuffre story. I love to talk to people. They know nothing about this. But they're saying, well, what am I upset about? I say, I don't know. You tell me. What do you think happened? And they can't answer the question. What do you think Epstein did? And I'm going to tell you something right now. And nobody wants to hear this, but I'm going to tell you this. Anytime something involves children, just take it off the table. But we're going to have to address something, my friends, that nobody wants to address. There are some girls who are 18, 17, 16, who are today the 30 or 40 years old of our time. Let me ask you something. How many of you, when you were kids, by the way, thank you, number one, for spelling Giuffre correctly. I appreciate that. By the way, she was killed or murdered or died naturally, and nobody even cares about this. When you were 14, 12, how sophisticated were you compared to girls now? When you were in the 5th grade, do you have, how do I say this? Did you know a lot about, dare I say, sexual variations that veered from the usual? Did you know about, I don't want to bring up buggery and things, but no, honey, I have to discuss this. I don't know how to say this. When I was in the 5th grade, I didn't know anything about half of this stuff. Maybe it wasn't, I mean, maybe I did, maybe I did. I remember one time when we saw the movie Deliverance. We couldn't believe what was going on. Today, kids know all about this. If you read TMZ and you follow the Diddy case, what was it, the ping pong ball test and all this jazz? What I'm saying to you is, the idea of the old days, if you didn't want to take it was namely targeted towards women, you didn't want their innocence to be violated. Now, I suggest to you that we make in society a demarcation, an age of 18, 19, 21, whatever it is, and we just pick it, just like we got to pick a limit. We got to pick a limit, 55 miles per hour. There's got to be a limit. You can't say, don't go fast. Sometimes in criminal statutes, we use words like reckless and careless, but for the most part, we need these things. You got to file by today, and this is da-da-da-da. Okay, fine. Do you think today, a 10-year-old of today is equivalent to when you were 10? No. So when you have a 13, 14-year-old girl who has been sexually active, I mean, it's disgusting to even think this. We still have to enforce the law, but do not miss something. There are kids who are recruiting other kids, and they're saying there's a deal with this guy named Epstein. We can go, especially, by the way, the Paris contingent, we can go shopping, and we may or may not have to do something or whatever it is, but let's do it. The case of Diddy. What people do not want to understand is that Diddy had people coming out of the woodwork. They could not wait to be a part of his freak-offs. He had to hire actual, this is interesting, security to keep these people away. Nobody wants to even deal with that. So here's the question that I have, and you're not going to hear this. Was Jeffrey Epstein truly a monster? Was he? And I would say no. No. Remember, here is the rule. I don't care what your reality is. You may be a teacher who falls in love with one of your students. You may be the nicest person and the most gentle and the most, you may absolutely be in love, and vice versa, whatever that is. But you cannot have any kind of sexual congress with somebody who is, you just can't do this, because we're not debating this. We're not going to say, well, but there are some cases, believe it or not, where our grandmothers, not only were they 14 and 13, they had arranged marriages. Arranged. They'd show up as some old 40-year-old guy and use your imagination. So this is when reality comes up against our version of the facts. Okay. So this is one of the reasons why we are so fascinated with this whole idea of Epstein, is because of the fact that we love this. Now, the other group of people is people love to be pissed off. Let me go back to my group. We are conspiratorial. We love to think that we know more than everybody else. We love to think that we believe in all these symbolic things, but in fact, we really don't know anything. And we love to pretend that we are angry with President Trump. We love to say, once and for all, this is it. This is the end. I'm through with him. I'm done. It's the end of MAGA. There's this fellow I've been watching named Nick Fuentes. And Nick Fuentes is such a smart guy at the age of 26. I mean, and he says, this is the end of MAGA. I'm burning my MAGA hat. Oh, would you shut up, you child? You child. You don't understand how this thing goes. You're not going anywhere. What? You want to be a Democrat again? Sorry, this is it. This is it. Okay? I have this As you know, preparewithlionel.com is a emergency food product I've been advertising for years. They're simply the best. Preparewithlionel.com. You can see all the information. And we were talking about it, and they said, well, do you have vegan food and kosher food? And do you have this? I'm saying, excuse me, I want you to understand something. If I don't have any food, I will eat lard by the scoopful. I will eat bacon wrapped in pork fat if I don't have any food. Do you think I'm going to deny myself emergency food because it's not plant-based? Do you think so? Are you if you're really kosher or you keep halal and you're dying? This is emergency food? Up to you. I don't think that way. So let me tell you something. You're not going anywhere. Trump is the best thing we have, and he is effing up royally. I don't know if he knows what he's doing. I don't know if he's starting to lose it. I don't know. I had this wonderful talk yesterday with a friend of mine, my oldest friend. Notice it was 8. He's a physician. We're talking about the fragility of the mind and cognition and when people go. I don't know. Things don't make sense. But let me explain something. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. You're not. You're not going to turn in your hat, and maybe you want to turn in your hat. But Donald Trump is the only person there is. There's no other way. So I don't want to hear any more about, oh, I'm so disgusted with this. Now, the real question people have is, what happened? What happened? One of my favorite thing was when I was a kid, my father never hit us. And later on, my family got a pool. They got one of these pools. And there was like a diving board that was, I think I was in it one time. But whenever he had something serious to tell you, he said, come here. And we'd go outside by the diving board. I have no idea what was so symbolic. And he would ask me a question. Why'd you do that? It was very rare because it was really, I swear to God, I never did anything stupid. But every now and then I would do something stupid. And he would say, how did you do that? Why'd you do that? And the moral of the story was sometimes we find ourselves doing things that just make no sense whatsoever. And you say, how did I get like that? How didn't I see that? Why did I marry this person? Why did I go to this party? Why did I do that? I don't know. You just, at the time it seemed okay, but I can't really explain it. That's kind of what this is. Why did Trump do it this way? I really honestly like, in my heart of hearts, I really like Pam Bondi. I've always liked Pam Bondi. She is a great, she's from Tampa. We worked at the state attorney's office. I think under the same thing, Hanging Harry Coe was a great man. I loved him to death. Anyway, to make a long story short, there we were. And how did she do this? Why did she? Have you seen this Liz Wheeler? Liz, was it Wheeler? Oh, she's a spitfire. She thinks she is the smartest thing in the world. And I love people. I love people who think I love the personalities. I love Owen Schroyer and his anger. I love Alex when he goes off the chart. I love Roger Stone's equanimity, his cool. It never varies. It never veers in the least. It's just always the same. This very unique, the same very clinical, the same not deadpan, but I like the way people are, and I like the way Kash Patel. A lot of these people, little boys and girls who never really understood this thing called fame. Let me see if I can explain this to you. Have you ever been famous? And I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever been famous? Have you ever been to an Olive Garden or the mall? And somebody says, hey, aren't you? And I don't mean you're somebody's teacher or you're somebody's reverend. But have you ever really been famous? It can be huge. It, honest to God, can be something. It can be an aphrodisiac you never thought you even cared about. You have no idea. Throw money in it. Take a Dan Bongino, absolutely a publicity whore, to use that terrible term, a crack of, it's like some crack. Cash Patel. Who is Cash Patel? He's a weird looking dude that maybe went through a lot of grief in his life, and maybe they laughed at him, and maybe, you know, those eyes and the way he looks at people, I don't know. But you know what? By God, he is something. He is a ball of fire. Stephen Miller, whom I don't see anymore. He was another one. He looks like Donald Pleasance. You know, he's kind of a weird kind of looking. He'd be great as like a Nazi general in a movie. He looks like somebody like an interrogator. Tom Homan, typical. I don't know where he is, but he's, you know, he's. And you understand who these people are. Kristi Noem, that's one of my favorites. Oh, you see Laura Trump. Laura Trump's on her paddleboard, rocking it. Her whole thing is, look at me and look at what great shape I'm in. She pays people or directs their attention. I'm going to be on the lake at noon. I'll be on the paddleboard. Ivanka Trump, it's me. Fame is their story. Candace Owens. Candace Owens wants so much. I don't want to get too much into what I think is the background of what she is. But it's very, very deep. And it expresses itself. This Nick Fuentes, Dinesh D'Souza. Go down the list. Charlie Kirk. Who are these people? Remember what? Not Charlie Kirk in particular. Charlie Kirk looks like, seriously, he's a very smart guy. But understand what their deal is. A lot of these people too are young, and a lot of these people, I'm sorry to say this, are immature. They haven't hit that part of their production level yet where you say, you know what, I really don't care anymore. I really don't care. I don't care, you know, what you think about me. So they do this. And one of the things is they're pulled into it, and Trump knows this. He wants them because he likes the way they look. He loves Fox News. And I believe he picked Pam Bondi, who was, I mean, this is a woman who was Attorney General of Florida. She was one of her lawyers on the floor of the House, which really didn't mean anything because people just read their stuff. But I think he liked the way she looked, the way she acted, and the way he thought she was a kind of a, you know. Carrie Lake, who now is in charge of VOA, which nobody understands what the hell VOA means. She's there. He took people from the world of, you know, he took the world from these people from the world of, you know, internet stuff. So all of a sudden he put them out there, and he realized they really don't have any information. So somebody came, and these are the only possibilities. Number one, Pamela Bondi, Pamela Joe, is mentally retarded. That's not true. So that's one possibility. Number two, she said, I'm going to cause such a distraction to somehow create some kind of a diversion or something, even though it hurts the president. I don't know. Third, and the more I see it, it's a combination of negligence and basically throwing her under the bus. Throwing her under the bus. They let her absolutely just, they let her, I don't know if she can ever really recover from this. It looks so stupid. I saw somebody, I think she was on Sagar, and I don't know, I forget. She was explaining the day, this Liz Wheeler, when she was at the White House, and they handed those things out. Sal Angelo, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, great name for a pizzeria, says, Lionel, here's my donation. Working long hours again. Like you, sir, appreciate the content. Thank you. Thank you immensely for this. Sal, you're a good, good man. I appreciate that. And your contributions, do not think for a moment, are like that kick in the teeth. There's like that, it's so much work doing this. It's so much work, and it's gratifying, and I appreciate it. I would love to do nothing but, my dream is to put out content all day long and to have a team of producers putting up the content up online and doing the thumbnails and writing up those thumbnails take forever. So that would be my dream. But anyway, thank you for this. I appreciate it. Because I was meant to do this. Whatever it is, whatever you call this thing. Because you don't understand this. I'm past that stage of, the fame part is this. I want to shape the direction of the country. I want to shape the mood. I want to shape the way people think. And I want to point out to you the obviousness. I want to point out to you the truth. And I see what's happening. And the other day, there's one thing that I've got to tell this president that he doesn't seem to know. When you really screw things up, please let it go. Let it go. Somebody years ago, there was a friend of mine who was in AA. And one of the steps I understand is you have to go and you have to make amends. Say you're sorry. Tell people you're sorry for what you did. And there's some things sometimes that mean a lot to us where we think maybe we really screwed up. And then we go to other people and realize, or they say, I don't even know you did that. Thanks for bringing this up. Now I know you did it. And, what? So you got to be careful. Do I think, hey, listen, 20 years ago, you remember when I stole your wallet? You stole my wallet? I didn't know that, you son of a bitch. Well, now it's new. Well, I'm trying to undo it. Honesty is not the best policy sometimes. So that's why, Mr. President, when something happens, do your staff a favor and say, stop belonging to some group that says you've got to get your mug out there. Pamela Joe, go under and do me a favor. Don't bring this up. Don't bring this up. Don't bring up Epstein. Don't bring up the video. Don't bring up the cause of death. Don't bring up the pathology. Don't bring this up. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't bring it up. But she keeps doing it. And Kash Patel, they keep doing it. And they want to be on TV so much. I think they get some kind of a sexual reaction from it, that they keep bringing stuff up and they keep hurting themselves. Let me give you another example. And this is important to you, and this is something I want to bring to your attention, and maybe you. I want to bring this topic up, and I want to change a little bit. What do you think about how now they're going to be looking at Comey and Brennan? What is your reaction to that? They're bringing up, perhaps charging Comey and Brennan with something, perjury, or okay. What do you think about that? Let me see if I can explain that to you. Here's what they're doing wrong. Number one, do me a favor. Do the investigation first and announce their indictment, their arrest, breaking news out of the, let's say, the Northern District of Virginia, or I don't know. You don't have to necessarily be in D.C., but an indictment was unsealed against James Comey and Brennan from the CIA for obstruction of justice and perjury and whatever. Their lawyers have been contacted. They turned themselves in. They have released on their own recognizance, but there is a mugshot which you will release like we saw in the case of Trump. And now the next court date is for a formal arraignment. You announce it after, listen to what I'm saying, you announce it after the indictment. Why are they telling you again? Listen to me. Why are they telling you again, before something happens, that they're investigating another investigation that you know and I know is not going anywhere? Do you hear what I'm saying? It's not going anywhere. One more time. Let me see if I can bring this up to you. It's not going anywhere. So there's all these investigations. They're doing this. Donald Trump says 3 things. 1, build the wall. Have we stopped building the wall? Well, I don't know if we stopped building the wall, but influx or crossings of down by 95%. Okay, but do we stop building the wall? We still need to have the wall after Trump. Let's say he loses and there's a Democrat. We need the wall. Did we stop building the wall? I don't know. Well, why'd you say it? You brought it up. I know I did, but okay. Drain the swamp. Forget that one. I don't even know what the hell that means. He was talking just shit. He was just throwing stuff. Drain the swamp. Yeah. And we had, look, I've got a graphic of a swamp and there's an alligator. And the third was lock her up. This is when I knew what Trump was about. They said, President Trump, you said you were going to lock her up. Yeah. No, Mr. President, you said excuse me, Mr. President. You said you were going to lock Hillary Clinton up. Yeah, I know. Well, why'd you do it? Why'd you say it? I've been thinking it over and I don't know. This is what you have to understand about the president. He just forgets stuff. Now, why he does that, I have no idea. Maybe you can fill me in. It drives me nuts. It drives me crazy. Now, here's my question. Yes or no? Have you left MAGA? Now, let's assume we know what MAGA means. Let's assume we understand what it means. Have you left MAGA? Have you burned your hat? Have you... Look at this. I even have a little... You're going to like this. This is a little... This is part of my collection. This is a little MAGA ornament. Little ornament. Have you left MAGA? Anybody? Maybe? Have you? Bill Oliveri says nope. Who else? No? Catherine Ladd has left. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, just so that you know, Catherine Ladd has left MAGA. Where are you going, Katie? Where are you going, hon? Where are you going? Where are you going? Tell me where you're going. Who has left? Have you left? Have you left? Anybody? Johnny Maz has left. Johnny Maz has left. He is not a member of MAGA anymore. Johnny, where are you going? Are you a Democrat? Who are you with? Maybe Gavin Newsom or maybe who exactly? Who is it? Look at this. I love this. NPC, I never trust a politician I never entered. So NPC is he's not participatory. By virtue of his non-personality, he's not a participant. And he thinks this is great. You really think so? Are you people saying you don't know what you mean? Sin says MAGA is an idea, belief, values, not something you leave. You know what I mean, Sin. You know what I mean, hon. Come on. Are you one of these people who says, I'm turning my back on the president? He has gone too far. He has gone too far. Anybody? No, you haven't. No. You love to get upset. You love. And here's the best part. You know what your involvement has been so far for you to leave? Nothing. You're not leaving anything because you're not involved in anything. You're not invested. Well, you might be maybe in your heart or something, but you're not invested in anything. You're not a part of it. No. Come on. You're not invested. You're not a part of this thing. So you say you're leaving, but you're not leaving. Our good friend Matless says, Trump, are we still talking about this JFK guy? Oh, yeah. He says this is, what Trump said was so stupid about, he got upset about Epstein. Why are we talking about Epstein? There's some good people there. Remember that? The other day he was talking about granting amnesty to people because they're, he says, huh? Okay, I'm almost done here. Why, do we have a time frame? We have a, okay, we'll be there. So the bottom line is simply this, my friend. And I mean to tell you this. We're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. It's that simple. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much for being with us. Mrs. L and I have to tool about. Ryan, thank you for your kindness as usual. Johnny Mazespaz, thank you, sir. And Sal Angelo, the great Sal Angelo, you are beyond kind. Malcolm X, Mattless X, thank you as well. We'll see you later. Make sure you subscribe to Lionel Nation. Don't forget July 19th at the Cutting Room. We'll be talking to you later. We love you to death. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. And until then, remember, later on today we'll meet again. Monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue yet. Dead.